Welcome to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. This is where you're going to discover how to bring awakening into the body and into everyday life through powerful tantric teachings. Get ready to release, open and step into your true power. I want to start by inviting you to not do what I did in my journey of coming across new felt senses in my body and new spiritual concepts and things that were really supporting me, which is don't then say in your head, oh, I'm going to become authentic. I'm going to become confident in my desires. I am striving for this, right? Because you can't become authentic. Your authenticity is here and available to you. The minute you go, what I'm feeling, what is here, is worthy of expression, and I don't need to suppress that. And there's this fine line with what we're expressing in that space. And this is a really important conversation that points to this place within you of actually being able to feel what serves you and what doesn't, right? So you might have a desire to eat a bunch of unhealthy food, right? You might have a desire to drown yourself in a bottle of wine. And this is what I want to really support your experience of in claiming your desires after our time together, which is to tune in and ask yourself, where is that desire coming from? Because an authentic desire is coming from the body. An authentic desire, when we're tuning into it and feeling it, it's like, just say you feel like ordering takeaway and a bunch of shit food, and that's your desire. And you're like, oh, but Chantel said to follow my desire. Actually, the next layer of really expressing yourself and not suppressing is to watch the desires that suppress you. Because those desires are the desires of the mind, right? That are wanting to go into avoidance and take you back into old patterns. So here we are. We've got this desire to eat a bunch of shit food, right? And you tune in and you're like, body, womb, heart, is this what you're really wanting? And you tune in. And I don't know about you, but whenever I'm doing something that doesn't serve me, my body's always a no. And this doesn't mean don't ever indulge. There's so much fucking restriction that women experience. We want to get you out of restriction. We want you to feel that your desires are holy, because there is so much programming in the spiritual world that says desire isn't holy. And the masculine, in a lot of teachers, usually male teachers, I don't know any women who teach this, teach the path of pratyahara, which is sense withdrawal, and going into a mountain and just surrendering into stillness and not having any desires. And I have a lot of respect for that path. Like when I was in India and saw these people just like on the side of the road with nothing and looking so happy, I'm like, whoa. It's definitely not my path. It's not the tantric path. The tantric path says, let's live in the world and see if we can be connected to something that is greater and truer than the desires of the ego and the mind, and actually feel the authentic desires here. Now, at the base of desire is a desire to be one with God, is a desire to return to oneness and that doesn't mean that you have to consciously go, oh, is my desire to connect with God in order for it to be a desire that Chantal is saying is authentic? No, but anything that nurtures you, anything that feels good is connecting you to God. And where the fuck do you hear that? That pleasure is godly, that desires can be holy. I certainly didn't hear that. And, I went to a just girls school run by nuns. I have a Catholic upbringing. I have a very spiritual upbringing. And a lot of the practices that I was exposed to and a lot of the path that I was on was very much aligned with what can I give, not what can I get. And what would love do now? And, this denial of the expression of my no, this denial of the expression of what I was truly desiring, which was, in my mind, it's like, but how can you just be at peace with what is? Now, if I compare myself now to the woman that I was then, now that I'm following the desires of my authentic being, I'm so much more connected to God. And who says that pleasure isn't connected to God? And who says that you don't need to get in touch with your pussy in order to feel fully alive in this human experience? The path of Tantra is really asking us the question of, if we know that everything is divine, then even the impulses that are egoic is pointing us on the spiritual path. Because this process that I'm talking to you about, where we are discerning between desires, just in that you are going to grow and evolve. Okay, so maybe I have a desire, I'm really angry, and I have a desire to text my partner. And it's going to feel like that. But is that a desire, or is it a nervous system stress response? So this breath that we've been talking about of pausing, it needs to come in when you're feeling into your desires. It's like, okay, I want to smoke a joint. Why do I want to smoke a joint? Is it to suppress what's here? Is it to go into avoidance? Or is it to make everything even more fun than it already is? Is it to open more? And when we're moving from suppression to expression, what we're experiencing as a current of energy is openness. And I want to drill this in again. You do not become authentic. The fact that you are even thinking, I'm going to become authentic, I'm going to show up in the world as my authentic self, and you're striving for that, you've already said that you're not worthy of being authentic now. And I want you to really consider what your conditions are on being worthy for the things that you want. Because if you want to be a practitioner or a teacher, and that's conditional upon you getting somewhere or healing something, if you want a relationship that's amazing, where your partner treats you like a goddess, respects you, loves you, fucks you good, holds you, can be there for you and your children if you've got children, which every woman wants that if she does. What's the condition of that? What's the condition of you fully showing up for yourself? What's the condition of others fully showing up for you? What's the condition of you being a millionaire? And when you have desires and you connect with those desires, whatever conditions you're placing on it are stopping you from actually expanding into the felt sense of having that which you desire. You are fundamentally worthy right now of what you desire. And stretching and feeling what it would be like to have that means that you also come across the contractions. So, when I was really feeling into, before I called Matisse in, I was like, okay, what am I really wanting in a partner? One of the things that I wanted was, okay, for this relationship, I want him to fully support my work in the world, not go into competition with me, love me and respect and honor what I'm bringing forth and actually see me in that. And I had, and like, so I'm expanding into that, but then I'm hearing all of the contracted beliefs of my ancestral lineage that I took you through yesterday. And it's important that you acknowledge those, or they just create this suppression, because they're like, those beliefs are stuck energy in the body. And I could hear my mum saying, men always have to be the alpha. You've got to just humor a man and tell him he's the best, or, and then all of these other there's so many beliefs about men that I've had to go to when I'm expanding into something. Men can't be trusted. They're boring, and then when my mum was alone in the house, when my dad would go away, she would badmouth him, my grandma, my auntie. So there's all these beliefs about men. And can we look at those beliefs when we're expanding into what we want and do what we did last night? Give those beliefs back and rewire it. Men are beautiful. Men can be trusted. It's possible for me to be supported. And then as I'm expanding into that, I'm like coming up with all the conditions, because you can feel it. You tune into your desire and it's like, oh, for me to have that, then I have to be more attuned to him when I'm teaching with him. I have to create spaces that, open into him being there. I'm like, what would it be to not have any conditions on that and just feel it? And it's funny because whenever I'm teaching with someone, there is this space of like, oh, I have this channel, as you probably noticed, that is flowing. And Tara trusts that, and she doesn't need to be coming in other than when she really feels the pulse of it. But other people that I've taught with, they need that. And so, and kind of have told me, you need to do this, and you need to be more in your feminine, or you need to be more in your divine masculine, create the space. And so all this going in my head as I'm opening into this desire. And then you need to find a reference point, if you can, for something else. So when I teach with Bruce, Celine, certain people in my life who have a similar energy to me, then the talking is even, because they're feeling a rush of energy that's bringing something forth. And so it's like, okay, when I'm teaching and we're both in the flow, then that's what I need. And can I also open to teaching with my partner, and if he's not like that he's okay with not talking, which Matisse definitely is. And then people are saying it's amazing to feel him in full support, and that his presence, and a few of you have experienced this in retreat spaces, and I can see you nodding, his presence is fucking palpable, and feeling the love between us, and that he's okay with that. And then when he comes in, he comes through with something that's potent. So all of the thing, you just get blown away when what you're creating and what you're getting a felt sense of becomes a reality, and you're like, oh, there it is. And so take the goodness from how much I've created everything in my life consciously, right? And just know this, that what seems impossible is so possible, and that whatever you're placing your attention on is inevitable, and that you get to have the relationship that feels good most of the time. You get to have the career that feels good most of the time. You get to have the life that feels good most of the time. You get to have that. You deserve that. You deserve that. Ease and pleasure and joy is the consistent pulse that is beating through your heart. And what is your work in that? Your work in that is to start becoming a match for that. Start to make choices that feel good. So when you have a desire, you tune in, whether it's a desire to smoke a joint, or a desire to go and buy a dress, or a desire to spend time with a friend, or a desire to sleep, and you tune in and you ask your womb and you ask your body, and you're like, is this authentic? And eventually you won't even need to do this other than for the big stuff. But when I first started, I had to do it with everything, because I was in so many patterns of pleasing others. And it was such an automatic response that I would just do whatever my partner wanted to do, or I would just go along with whatever my kids wanted. And I've got this strong Italian caretaker. So am I trying to get rid of my strong Italian caretaker? Am I trying to get rid of my addictions? Am I trying to get rid of anything? Fuck no. Get curious about it. Get really curious about you. Get to know you with as much interest and curiosity as you would get to know some amazing man you met or some amazing woman. And how well you know you, how deeply you feel you, not in the story of what's happening, but in what's underneath that. That is your authentic embodiment. That is the journey from suppression to expression. It's just whether or not you're brave enough and committed to the practice enough to breathe and feel what that is and to see what comes up in that space. So everyone take a deep breath. And with anything like money, like sexual desires, where there's so much shame around it, you're going to come across ideas. Like when I was going into being a six-figure gypsy woman, I couldn't believe some of the beliefs that were coming into my head, not just from my mum, but also from culture. Money doesn't grow on trees. You've got to work really hard to get money. It doesn't just come from nowhere. And there is truth in those, but what other beliefs did I need to have that I get to receive money in my ease without stress? I've only ever connected going to the next level, being like, okay, Tara, let's create this, this, and this, and then we have to put this, this, and this in place. And now all of a sudden, there's more money coming into the academy than ever, and we are in our complete ease. Actually, we're in our complete ease. I can honestly say that. And we're following our intuitive hits. We're feeling into our body. We're having fun, more fun than we've ever had. And it's like, Jesus, we're making the money that we wanted now in less stress and less mind and less what we've got to do than ever. And whoa. And when I did get to six figures per month, it was like, I'm here. And now I've moved into millionaire, and I know it's inevitable. I'm not like, how am I going to get to being a millionaire? Or when I was manifesting Matisse, how am I going to get that guy? You don't need to. You just need to feel it in your body, know the limitlessness that lives inside of you, and go, okay, if I am an energetic match for that, what would it feel like to be a millionaire? What are the decisions I would be making? And that's really hard. And Tara and I are like, fuck it. Getting into that millionaire mindset, spending more money than we've ever spent from the business account, being more generous than we've ever been. And literally we'll drop like 10 grand on something, or like investing in coaching and support. And then it'll be back the next week. Or, we bought everybody dinner the other night and splurged on this amazing Airbnb, invited friends. Triple of that came back the next day. It's fucking crazy. So can you have a share about some of that and what we've traversed together?
I just want to start by saying that once you've undergone this process of feeling and mining all of the contractions, all of the conditioning, all of the limiting beliefs, and then you feel that clarity, you feel that alignment with what you're wanting, with what you're desiring in your life. And there comes an opportunity, as life will graciously do for us when we have that clarity of what we're wanting, then I see it as a gift rather than life is testing us. But opportunities then arrive in life for us to speak up, for us to take that action, for us to leap off that cliff into this space of unlimited possibilities. And just know that when you come to that place and you have your vision and you have your clarity, like, here I am, do I go back to the old or do I leap into the new? That it's still okay to feel uncomfortable. It's still going to feel uncomfortable because it's new, because it's unfamiliar. And they're the power choices. They're the choices that really can change the entire direction of your life. And Raven is a living testament of that. And I am a living testament of that. And when she came to visit me in Bali and a line came through her being, guess what? I got to receive all those teachings and put them into practice. That meant leaving my relationship. That meant doing business completely differently than how we'd done it before. And it meant leaving Bali and going on the most marvelous, exotic 3-month travel adventure through Europe. Huge shift for Tara, who likes her structure and her consistency and doing things this way, and safety. And being in the field of these teachings that you are now in, I could feel in the depth of my heart what I wanted, which was to create and share these incredible teachings with the world, but to not do it through stress anymore, and not to do it through this berating masculine that I would then go into like burnout and crash, but actually to do it in my feminine ease and joy and magic. And no kidding, what we've achieved in the last 5 months when we've been working together and working through the business would have taken us easily a year before, easily a year. So, and this is one of the things that I'm most wowed by. We launched practitioner training essentially in about 3 days, which previously, when we did it last year, took us 3 months. I'm just like, oh, this works. The work works. So, and the same with the relationship, and the same with calling in that connection. And there's points. I'm at a point right now in the man that I'm relating with, where everything that Raven's spoken into is what my process is to really feel my desire. And then, yeah, it's still going to feel edgy to speak from that place, but actually to share what's true for me. And every time we do that, this is at least my experience, especially relationally, we need to risk losing love. We might lose that person. We might lose that business opportunity. But by doing so and facing that fear and really trusting the authenticity of what our desire is, actually, we're loving ourselves in that process. And because we live in a reflective universe, it gets reflected beautifully back to us.
Thanks for listening to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. For more great free resources, in-person and online workshops, and our retreats, find us on Instagram and Facebook at Embodied Awakening Academy, or visit embodiedawakeningacademy.com.